That was insane. The wildest, most frenzy. It was like a piranha feeding frenzy when NBA free agency opened. 50 contracts in the first 10 hours alone. $3.1 billion handed out in the first 10 hours alone. It was the wildest start to free agency anybody has ever seen. It was a lot to absorb. It was a lot to take in. Here are the 5 big takeaways you should know heading out of free agency's first day. Number 1, Kevin Durant wanted to play with his friends, and the Brooklyn Nets are contenders because of it. Who's the new king of New York now? All season long, Durant was linked to the Knicks. Some around the league said it was basically a done deal. Then Brooklyn swooped in and got both him and Kyrie Irving in the final days. The Brooklyn Nets, a team, by the way, that had the worst record in the league 2 seasons ago, landed Durant, landed Irving. Let that sink in. It is an incredible turn of events in Brooklyn. But its bottom line, Durant wanted to play with his friends in the right environment, and so much so that Durant and Kyrie Irving took discounts to get their buddy DeAndre Jordan in there. Now KD's going to sit out next season. The Nets are still a playoff team, but in a couple of years, Brooklyn could be an absolute force in the Eastern Conference. Number 2, Jimmy Butler was traded to the Miami Heat. Nobody saw that coming, and Philadelphia still comes out of it a contender. 48 to 72 hours ago, Jimmy Butler going to Heat was just a fantasy of Heat fans. Pulling it off was going to be almost impossible. There was no way they were going to be able to do it, right? Wrong. They got it done by giving up the talented Josh Richardson. Now, Miami gets the star they've coveted, a great cultural fit with the Heat organization, but there's still a lot of roster building to do. It's an interesting team, though. They've got Justice Winslow. They've got Bam Adebayo. That's going to be a good place to start. There's just a lot of work still to do in Miami. Philadelphia replaces Butler with Josh Richardson. He's not as good, but he's not dramatically worse. He's a really good player. He's younger. He's cheaper. And that was just one of the moves they made. They retained Tobias Harris on a max contract. Then they went out and signed Al Horford as a free agent. 4 years, $109 million. The Sixers starting 5 now is Ben Simmons, Josh Richardson, Tobias Harris, Al Horford, and Joel Embiid. That is the best starting 5 in the East. They are serious contenders again, and if they get some bench play, watch out. The award for least surprising thing to happen in free agency was Klay Thompson signing his max 5-year, $190 million contract with the Warriors. Everybody knew that was going to happen, but nobody really saw the sign and trade with D'Angelo Russell happening. That was where the drama came in. Russell is a good pick-and-roll, ball-handling, dominant point guard who's an all-star. He's a talented player. He's a little bit of an odd fit next to Steph Curry, but they don't really have him there for that. They're going to be good this season. They're going to play half a season to an entire season with him, and then they're probably going to trade him for a piece that fits better, especially when Klay Thompson returns. That said, it's still a good get for the Warriors. They do lose Andre Iguodala in there. That's a cultural blow. That is a popular guy in the locker room. That's not going to be easy to replace, but this is still a very good team. The fourth big thing out of free agency, Kawhi Leonard's going to take his time, and that leaves the Lakers, the Clippers, and the Raptors just dangling on the hook. Look, Kawhi Leonard can take all the time he wants. This is a big decision. When everybody else was in a feeding frenzy when free agency opened, he didn't meet with one team. That's starting over the next couple days. He's going to take his time and make a thoughtful decision. Good for him. It's a big decision. He should think it through, but it hurts the Lakers and Clippers in particular. Look, they're all sitting with this cap space and their hands tied while all these other players come off the board. The Lakers in particular, look, they can't go get Jimmy Butler or anybody else now. They're all gone. And even a lot of the role players they would have wanted, Patrick Beverley, Trevor Ariza, JJ Redick, are off the board. It's going to be much harder for the Lakers to fill out that roster if they don't get Kawhi Leonard. And number 5, man, the Utah Jazz have had a really impressive offseason. They are a legitimate threat to win the West next year. Look, first off, there's the massive upgrade they made well before this start of free agency. Mike Conley is just much better than Ricky Rubio at point guard. But then on Sunday, they added more shooting to the mix in the form of 6'8" Bojan Bogdanovic. Look, he's the kind of player casual fans like, who is that and why is he getting paid so much? He has a lot of fans around the NBA because he is a sharpshooter who can defend and plays a smart game. Averaged 18 points a game last season for the Pacers. He is a perfect fit for them. They had to give up fan favorite Derek Favors to do that, but then they turn around and they get a gritty, solid veteran in Ed Davis to fill those minutes. Utah's starting 5 next year is probably Mike Conley, Donovan Mitchell, Joe Ingles, Bojan Bogdanovic, and Rudy Gobert. That is going to win them a lot of games. This is a very good team in Utah, and while everybody else is sleeping on them, they are a real threat to win the West.